Brilliance Audio presents the unabridged recording of The Last Centurion by John Ringo, performed by Dan John Miller. To everyone who has ever felt they were looking out over Hadrian's Wall while Rome crumbled behind them. Book 1. In a Time of Suckage. Chapter 1. Days of Wine and Song. Call me Bandit. Okay, hopefully that's like the last time I'm going to make a literary reference. But you never know. Beware. Beware. There's a bunch of these stories out there now that people are getting back on the net. I figured, what the hell? I've got one too. Sure, we all do. But, what the hell? People started calling it the Hell Times after some pundit was spouting about it on TV. I mean, the Great Depression was taken, and they didn't have the plague or the freeze thrown on top. I know it wasn't a plague, and all you nitnoids are going to point out that it was some fucking flu virus, and plague is bacterial infection, and yeah, I know. Thank you. We all fucking know, all right? Christ. There are times you wish it had been targeted at nitnoids. Everybody calls it the plague, okay? Get over yourself. Anyway, people call it the Hell Times. I don't know. Maybe I've got a better personal fix on hell than they do, or maybe I don't. Personally, having been in combat and blown up and shot and seen people I care about blown up and shot and even people I didn't particularly care about blown up and shot and having visited a volcano once and thought about what it would be like to spend the rest of fucking forever in one, I don't call it the Hell Times. Bad as it was, seems to be an exaggeration. Me, I call it the time of suckage. This is my sucky story about the time of suckage. So there I was in Iran again. This is no shit. It was my 4th trip to the sandbox in my short years as a soldier. And it was a maximally fucked up tour, even before the time of suckage. Look, you spend any time as a soldier, and you get good chains of command and bad chains of command. Good jobs and bad jobs. You deal. It didn't help that the Prez was a whiny bitch who really wanted us out of there, but couldn't figure out how to get reelected and stab us in the back. Equipment was short, training was crap, the Mooj knew all they had to do was hold their ground, and we were eventually going to leave. And boy did we. Not that it helped them much, huh? Heh. Seriously, I met some Iranians and Iraqis and Afghans that were pretty decent people, and I'm sorry as hell for what happened to the good people, most of them, that inhabited those countries. But, hell, I'm getting ahead of myself. Way ahead. Maybe I should talk about myself for a bit, to give a little context. I was one of the very few remaining farm boys in the Army at the time. Seriously. I mean, most of my troops were from rural areas, but that's not exactly the same thing as being a farm boy. I grew up on a family farm. Well, I grew up on one of the family farms owned by the Bandit Family Farm Company, LLC. Wait, LLC? Family farm? How do those two go together? Like bacon and eggs, my friends. Like bacon and eggs. Forget everything you've seen in a bad movie about family farms. If you're going to survive in this economy, you'd better know what the hell you're doing. And I'm not talking some hobby farm where the farmer is a construction contractor and has a couple of cows or a chicken house or twain that are some added income, or more often a tax write-off. I'm talking about making all of your income from farming. And it's pretty good money if you do it right. Farmers are the richest single income group in the U.S. Were before the time, during the time, and after. Sure, some of them lost their farms during the time, but damned few. Except for the big grab, but I'll get to that. Smart farmers weren't saddled with killer debt when the times hit. And hell, people always gotta eat. Sure, there were less mouths to feed, but the government was always buying. Anyway, grew up on a farm in southern Minnesota near Blue Earth. It was one of 9 the family owned in 6 counties in southern Minnesota. That one was right on 2,000 acres, most of it tilled in time. Pretty much the standard rural upbringing. Went to school. Yes, I was captain of the football team. Played with my friends. Dated girls. I'm straight for all you pining fags out there. And did some chores. Yes, I've tossed hay bales, but not all that many. Baling is time and labor intensive and thus unprofitable. Better to roll. Takes one guy with a tractor the same time to clear a field of rolls as it takes 15 guys with bales. Do the math. Did I ever get up before dawn and milk cows using a bucket and a stool? No. The family owned 2 cow farms. Both were run by managers. At dark 30, the cows would walk to the barn and into their stalls. Why? Because they had full udders. Full udders hurt. The cows learned quick that if they walked to the stall, the hurt went away. Cows are very dumb, if not as dumb as sheep, but they can be trained. A team of people, usually 4, would then hook them up to the milking machines. They'd drink coffee while the cows were getting their udder dump, unhook them, and the cows and crew would then have their breakfast. After breakfast, the cows got turned out and most of the crew went off to day jobs. The milk was stored in a steel vat until the truck came by to pick it up and take it to the processing plant. Manager, who was full-time, handled that. In the evening, repeat. Again, do the math. 40 cows, smaller farm. I milked 1 cow once by hand when my dad made me familiarize with it. It took me a good 15 minutes. Figure an expert can do it in maybe 5. 4 guys, 30 minutes. Or 1 guy doing it all damn day. Sure, the equipment's a tad expensive, like $500,000. It's amortized. Then there's the whole sepsis issue. Look, milking by hand, you put milk into an open bucket in a stall that's occupied by a cow. Bessie is not. Take it from this farm boy, a clean creature. Bessie's tail hangs down the same spot her poop, which is mostly liquid, comes out. Bessie walks in her poop. Flies surround Bessie like politicians at an all-you-can-steal lobbyist giveaway. Milk is a prime food for just about anything, including bacteria. We had no interest in being in the news as the evil farm corporation that killed X thousand customers from salmonella or some shit. Doing it by hand spells going out of business. We liked our farms. We wanted to keep being farmers. We did it the smart way. That extended to everything. Look, combine harvesters are very expensive. The flip side is, the bigger they are, the more expensive they get, but the more economic they are. So bigger in general is better. However, some of our fields were too small for the really big combines, and a combine only makes its money a couple of weeks out of the year. Harvesting is about it. There are companies that do that shit. Since harvests, for really obvious reasons, don't happen everywhere all at once, they move around harvesting and planting. Most of the guys doing the actual work were from South Africa or Eastern Europe. Mexicans never got in on that racket, not sure why. We had a couple of small combines, price tag right at $250,000 a pop, to do some of the smaller fields and cleanup. For the main harvesting, Dad would arrange, like a year in advance, to get the combine company to come in. Farmers are planners. The big chill and the big grab really fucked with us, but it was fucking with everybody, so I'll get to that later. Adapt, react, and overcome ain't just a Marine motto. Of course, the time of suckage proved that it just might be an exclusively American motto, and at the time confined to a relatively small fraction. Insert sigh here. So, grew up on a farm. Maximum suckage once a year picking rocks. Another essay. Went to college, Farmington, on a football scholarship. Got cut sophomore year. Dad had a college fund for me, but, well, if I dipped into it for, tuition and books, it really cut into my discretionary income. The insurance for a 20-year-old on a Mustang GT 175 is not cheap, and buying the ladies nice dinners tends to get you laid more than McDonald's dinners do. I did not want my discretionary income tapped. ROTC was just sitting there. Most of my family had been Navy. Don't laugh. I think most of the Navy is crewed by Midwesterners. But there wasn't a Navy ROTC program, so I went Army. Okay, yes, there was a war on. But again, I did the math. Death rates in that war were pretty much on a par with death rates during previous peacetimes. Don't believe me?